Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well today. Today is January the 22nd at approximately 10:44 a.m. Central Standard Time. And just wanted to get out here this morning because I didn't want you to think that I had forgotten or neglected anything, but especially since we begun the discussion on betrayal and got to talking about Samson. Just wanted to spend some time with you this morning. Betrayal, as I said before, comes in many shapes and forms, and sometimes we feel like we've been betrayed by people, places, or things, and sometimes when that thing has been reconciled, we get kind of giddy, we get kind of happy. But I wanted to continue the discussion about Samson, and I wanted to add something for you. In chapter 13, when the angel of the Lord is talking to Samson's mother about Samson and the fact that he's going to be a Nazirite. One of the things that comes out of that is that that he said that Samson would be a Nazirite from the womb, but more importantly, he said he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. And I thought that that was pretty important, because the thing is that he shall begin to deliver them out of the hands of the Philistines says that what Samson was going to begin the work, but somebody else was going to complete it. And we find as we go a little bit further along, once we come out of the book of Judges, that we get to the book of Samuel. We find out that deliverance from the Philistines actually transpires during the time of Samuel, and actually comes to an end once David defeats Goliath and Saul dies. So I just wanted you to have that particular piece of information. As we continue on, we were actually discussing some stuff, and we were at basically where we were was at the end of chapter 14, and the thing about it is that after this wedding feast, Samson, in his anger, he leaves and he goes away. But the wife that he had been the wife that his family had paid the dowry for, the Timonite woman, who lived amongst the Philistines, the thing was that daughter was then given to the person that was Samson's best man. So the thing is that because of that, after a while, after Samson's anger had been greatly reduced, he decided that he was going to go back during harvest time to see about his wife, and he was going to go back and to claim her. Well, the thing is that the father-in-law then says to him, well, I've already given your wife away to somebody, to your best man. So the thing is that so then again Samson gets angry again and says that at this particular point that now the Philistines are to blame for whatever it is that he's getting ready to do to them. This is the story. And then we get into the story where Samson catches the foxes. He ties their tails together and puts torches between them. And what ends up happening is that all of the grain, the olive trees, and the grapevines, the vineyards, are all burned up. So the thing is that the Philistines then make the decision and say to the people, who was it that did this? Now, you need to go back to the previous story where Samson wanted to, where Samson had given them the riddle, and in giving them the riddle, what ended up happening was that the Philistines threatened to burn up the girl's family if she didn't share the riddle with them. Well, as a result of Samson going through and setting the foxes out into the fields and to the pastures and all of that, what ends up happening then is that the Philistines, in their anger, go and take the girl and her father and their family, and so then what ends up happening is that they are all burned up. So again, here we have this thing that happens about betrayal. Betrayal begets revenge. Revenge begets more betrayal. And we just keep on going, keep on going. I need to say this about Samson. The problem with Samson is that Samson was controlled by his physical needs and urges, as opposed to being controlled by the spiritual side of of who he is. That's a problem for a lot of us, in that sometimes, even though we confess to be Christians, that what ends up happening is that we allow our physical and what it is that the world, our worldly thinking, to take over what it is that should spiritually be happening. So then after that, what ends up happening is that after they burnt up the family, burned the girl and her father with fire, then what ends up happening is that Samson says that he's going to take revenge. And what he does is that he then goes and he slaughters a bunch of Philistines. So once he slaughtered all these Philistines, the men of Judah are approached by the Philistines and they say to him, "What is it that you've done?" And so Samson explains to them everything, and then he tells them, the only thing is that all I want you to do is promise me that you yourselves will not fall on me. As long as you don't do anything to me, everything, I'm going to be all right. But bind me up. And so they bound him up. And so they took Samson down, and they went, they took him and delivered him to the Philistines. Well, in delivering him to the Philistines, what ends up happening is that once he gets around all of the Philistines and the Jews have gone their way, then he breaks the bonds. And then this is where we get the story of where Samson kills all of these Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. And again, so as we get further and further into this story, we understand now that this cycle of betrayal, what happens with betrayal is that betrayal is one of those things that gets to our baser emotions. And there's a couple of things that happen when we feel betrayed. The first one is that we get angry. The second one is that we then feel like we need to have revenge. And then, the third thing that happens is that we actually allow our worldly nature to take over who it is that God has made us to be. That's all I have for you right now. We're going to continue on with this, and when we get to the conclusion of this, which is pretty soon, because we are going to go forward and we're going to talk about Samson and Delilah and the end of Samson's life as we wrap this betrayal thing up. And then I'm going to take and give you just the bullet points on betrayal, so that you have the complete teaching as to what this betrayal thing is. May God bless and keep you, and we'll talk to you later.